Hey, Mr. Sherman here, and we're going to make a simple compound interest app. So, we're going to be able to enter in our initial investment, years to invest, interest rate, years to invest, and we're eventually going to add in a monthly contribution, and we're going to display what our total is after each year down here. So, to start, I'm going to say when I click my calculate button, and real quick, all this is 4 horizontal arrangements inside a vertical arrangement. Each horizontal arrangement is one label and a text box. It helps to check these to numbers only. I'm sometimes lazy and I forget, but it is helpful to do that. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so now on to blocks. What I want to happen when I click my calculate button, I simply need to calculate my current value. Current value. My current value is going to equal whatever I typed in, whatever my initial value is, plus my initial value times my interest rate. So now here's the issue. If I enter in my interest rate as a number, I need to convert it into a decimal. So for example, uh, if I were to enter in 7, I need to divide by 100 to get it to a number I can use in my calculation. So I'm going to create another variable called interest rate converted. And before I can do any of this, I need to figure out what this is going to be. And it's simply going to be whatever we type into our interest rate text box divided by 100. So now we can use this in our calculation. Boom, boom, boom. Now, don't overthink a list view. All a list view does is display a list. So that means we need to create a list. And I'm just going to call this display list. And so far, all we're doing is calculating for 1 year. So what I need to add to this list now is I'm simply going to say year 1 current value. So now if you go test this out, and then one last thing, don't forget this. Tell our list view to display this list. So this works for 1 year, 1 year only. Go test it out. Go make sure it works because we're about to convert this to work for multiple years. All right, so a lot of time when we do this, a lot of people say, well, don't I just then go in here, grab this for each, and I just want to do calculation for however many years I type in. And it's actually pretty close. The only issue is you need to make sure you're updating this number each time. So what we need to do is every time we do the calculation, we need to use this variable. That means, oops, that means we need to make sure we're setting it before we even get into it. So what are we setting it to? What have we typed in? And then we just use that for the rest of it. But now, I don't want to just display year 1 over and over. I want to display year whatever number we typed in right there. And that means I probably need to add, another slot in to be a space between these guys. Um, Actually, what I'm going to do is a space, then a dollar sign. We'll do that. And what's important, put this outside of the for each. Put this outside of the loop. You only want to set your elements once. In fact, I recommend put it in here, run it, then fix it, and you'll see the difference. You'll see what I mean. You duplicate your things over and over if you put it inside. You only want to display this one. And while we're on that note, it's always good to make sure you're clearing this out every time you hit calculate. You want to get a brand new version of these. You want to just make sure there's no bad data in there. Clear it out every time you click calculate. Go test it out. Make sure this works. And we're about to add in the monthly contribution because it sounds like it's really hard to do, but it's actually really easy. So we're about to add in the monthly contribution. And while we're on that note, I want to talk a little bit about compounding periods. Right now, we have this set to compound once a year. If you wanted to set this to compound monthly, as some accounts do, all you would need to do is multiply this number by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. However many years you're invested, multiply by 12, that gives you the compound periods. Because all this really is representing is compound periods. You can do the same thing, compound it daily. And again, multiply by 365. This is really, it would be actually make more sense to call this compound periods. It's just generally you'll see it phrased as years invested. So we're just going to do that for now. But I just want to make note of that because it is important because we did call this our monthly contribution, but we're investing yearly. So all we have to do then is make another variable, call this yearly contribution. And we're going to set this to simply be our monthly contribution times 12. And then I'm going to add it in after our calculation. After we compound, I'm going to say, okay, we compound it. So then simply add it to our current value. So every year we calculate our current value. Then we add our yearly contribution to it, add it to our list, display what we are. Boom, do it again. Year 2, year 3, year 4. Do it over and over, however many years we want to. And again, this is technically just compound periods, whatever you want it to be. So test it out, make sure it works, have some fun with it. One small thing I like to add in is this. Oops. Is this? You can see I was just testing. Is this format this number to 2 decimal places? This makes it look a little bit better. Something that's good to add in. So one small thing I wanted to add in before we wrapped up. Cool. I hope that's a fun one. I hope you can use it. Hope you got something out of it. If not, just a small finance lesson.